Hundreds of thousands of people have rallied in cities across Israel for a 10th consecutive week, protesting against plans by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's far-right government to curb the Supreme Court's powers. Estimates are that 500,000 people attended rallies across the country of just 9 million, making it one of the biggest in Israeli history. The protesters are protesting against judicial reforms proposed by Israeli parliament led by Netanyahu's administration, an alliance with ultra-Orthodox Jewish and extreme-right parties which took office in late December. The proposed law has 4 main clauses. Number 1. Allowing the Knesset to override Supreme Court decisions with a simple majority of 61 out of 120 seats so that the court cannot block any law it deems unconstitutional. Number 2. Removing the Supreme Court's ability to judge Knesset legislation and other government decisions for reasonability. This principle was exercised in the court's recent decision to rule one of Netanyahu's ministerial appointments as highly unreasonable because of past criminal convictions. Number 3. Giving the most control over appointing judges to the ruling coalition, rather than to a current set committee of legal experts and representatives. Number 4. Allowing ministers to appoint their own legal advisors, and taking away the authority of the latter to make binding decisions. Government says that the exercise of powers by the court have often sparked controversy within Israel, usually among right-wing politicians and their supporters. Many of the court's rulings, particularly those limiting the expansion of Israeli settlements in the disputed West Bank, as well as those affecting ultra-Orthodox autonomy and way of life, have sparked resentment among ultra-Orthodox and religious Zionist politicians, many of whom have accused the court of engaging in judicial activism in favor of left-wing causes. Reforms say that the changes are needed to prevent the Supreme Court, which is unelected, from overly intervening in the cabinet and Knesset decision-making. Critics say the changes will destroy the country's system of checks and balances and concentrate power in the hands of the Prime Minister and his allies. Some also say Netanyahu, who is on trial for corruption, is driven by personal grievances and that he could find an escape route from the charges through the overhaul. But Netanyahu denies wrongdoing and says the legal changes have nothing to do with his trial. The main problem is not Netanyahu government, but it dates back to 1948 when Israel was created. The Israeli Declaration of Independence stated that a formal constitution would be formulated and adopted no later than 1 October 1948. The deadline set in the Declaration of Independence proved unrealistic in light of the war between the new state and its Arab neighbors. General elections eventually took place on the 25th of January 1949 in order to elect a Constituent Assembly which would approve the new state's constitution. The Constituent Assembly convened in February 1949. It held several discussions but never reached an agreement. The main obstacle was Israel's first Prime Minister, David Ben-Gurion, who did not wish to develop a constitution. According to Ben-Gurion, a constitution goes against wishes of a democratic majority and limit the government's decision-making power. Rather than a constitution, the majority of the day should determine the rules, as every law is a product of its time. On June 13, 1950, the first Knesset reached a compromise on the issue, known as the Harari Resolution, named after its sponsor, Yitzhak Harari. Instead of a constitution, the Knesset would enact a series of basic laws that would be created over time. The basic laws of Israel are 13 quasi-constitutional laws of the State of Israel, and some of them can only be changed by a supermajority vote in the Knesset. Many of these laws are based on the individual liberties that were outlined in the Israeli Declaration of Independence. The basic laws deal with the formation and role of the principal institutions of the state and protect the country's civil rights. The Basic Laws act as a de facto constitution. Israel is one of 6 countries, along with Canada, New Zealand, San Marino, Saudi Arabia and the United Kingdom, that do not have a written constitution. The basic laws do not cover all constitutional issues, and many cases such issues are left to interpretation by the judicial system. Israel doesn't have a constitution that defines the relationship between the legislative, judicial and executive branches. Under Israel's current constitutional framework, all legislation, government orders, and administrative actions of state bodies are subject to judicial review by the Supreme Court of Israel, which has the power to strike down legislation and reverse executive decisions it determines to be in violation of Israel's basic laws. This role of the court in Israel has been seen as crucial for the protection of human rights in light of its otherwise weak system of checks and balances, as Israel only has a House of Representatives but no Senate.